Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi everyone, it's Natalie Jean, it's Natalie Jean, yes, it's Chatting with Nat, and today we have the honor of having neo-alternative rock artist Élishia Sharie. Electrifying, daring, and hypnotizing are just a few words to describe Los Angeles neo-alternative rock artist Élishia Sharie. Her distinct raspy tone tells a powerful story of pain, desperation, and eventual triumph. A voice previously devastated by vocal trauma that left her entire singing range obliterated. After a 12-year battle to recover her voice and rediscover her confidence, Élishia Sharie emerged from the ashes with her first global release titled Fight. Let's give her a round of applause. Audio Jungle. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to be on your show today.
I'm excited to have you. I almost lost it because, my brain wasn't working for during the month of
it's Thursday. It happens.
So how have you been during this entire crazy pandemic thing? It's nuts.
Ooh. It is crazy, and it just keeps going like the Energizer Bunny, and I'm like, can we just dead this already? I'm over it.
I mean, there are days where I wake up and I'm like, did this really happen? Because this is stuff that you only hear about before Christ, after Christ, in the 1940s,
right.
1950s, stuff like that. So you would never think that something like this could possibly happen in the 21st century. And so I lay back and said, maybe I need to pinch myself to see if this is not that nightmare. So during this time, did you do any live streaming?
I did, actually. A majority of my performances last year were live stream. My last in-person performance was in March, at least for that year.
Right.
And then for the rest of the year, I just live streamed on Instagram, on Facebook. Did a whole Halloween show live.
Right.
So yeah, but it's just not. It's not the same energy though.
No, it isn't. It was very interesting for me to do it because I had not done it working with V Squared Management, and they were just like, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. Let's do some live streaming. Yeah. And I basically was like, really? So then when I would do it, you have, there's nights where you have a bunch of people. There's nights there'd be few people. There's nights there might be no one, and you're singing to yourself. At least you're practicing.
Right.
Because I tend to mishmash all my songs together. Because I'm getting older, the brain is. When I do a set, I usually do a 3-hour set, and that's 30 songs.
Nice. Wow, impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy. But live streaming, at least it gives us a different component, a different avenue. Something like this were to happen again, I don't know when it's going to end. That we have a different avenue for people to still see us. You know what I mean? Because we, in our profession, we have to consistently stay engaged with everybody. We're always on.
Right.
If it's not Twitter, if it's not TikTok, if it's not Instagram, if it's not Facebook, a Clubhouse, whatever. We're all over the place, and we have to maintain or try to maintain those relationships. But so kudos to having live streams.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So I usually like to ask this question of everybody. So obviously we know that we are still in a pandemic with all these damn variants coming out.
Yeah.
It was a year of a lot of self-reflection I know a lot of people self-reflect.
yeah.
I had colleagues and friends say they're going to cut back on work because they realized they weren't spending enough time with their families. Climate change,
Right.
the animals and Mother Nature were like, oh, we can breathe now. Nobody's in the street. The pandemic, it was good and bad. Obviously, the bad is people got
Right.
sick. People died. A lot of people lost a lot. I mean, there was a lot of loss of life, whether it was pandemic or anything else. There was just a lot of that. But on the flip side,
Right.
there are people that actually quit their jobs because they decided they want to be happy and do what they love rather than, really trying to go for the money, which is very interesting to me. And then we have artists like you and I. There are plenty of artists that decide, they want to be an effective player. I know one lady, she said, what, I took all my music down. I want to redo my music. I want to rebrand.
Wow.
Did you decide that you wanted to change anything? Did you decide you want to be more an effective player? Did you have any thoughts whatsoever on how you want to be perceived as an artist?
Well, that's a lot. I definitely did a lot of self-reflection, just on a personal level as well as a professional level. So when I'm not on stage, I'm actually a graphic designer and a web designer. And fortunately for me, I was already working from home.
Right.
And interestingly enough, my workload increased during the pandemic, which was totally fine. Yes, I'm very grateful for that and, being able to still work during the pandemic. But on the music side of things, which is, my passion, I was definitely struggling because my goal with music is to connect with people. And I find that I better connect with people in person when I can, hop off and get all in your face and, sing whatever it is that I'm singing. So I kind of had to figure out, well, since I can't do that, and, the virtual aspect is well and alive and, we can do these live shows, just figuring out, well, how do you continue to build those connections with people? And so I did find that I was making more time to just really chat with people on Instagram and on Facebook, using DMs and all of that. Right. And just checking in with people and seeing how folks were doing, which I didn't really, I guess, think about as much when I was going off into the world and rehearsing on a more public stage. So I definitely had to make some adjustments when it came to connecting with, my followers and my fans. And I'm, still doing that, still checking in with people, even though now I am back on the public stage and actually getting ready to go on tour. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. But the pandemic definitely taught me a lot about relationships and how to not take those relationships for granted.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we can get from this whole thing. It's just, I mean, we've got the cray-crays out there. We've seen them. And then, you know what's interesting, we had the whole dynamic of we had the Olympics, but we always had the elections and everything that happened with George Floyd, people coming together.
Right.
And then we had the nasty people. I mean, we had a culmination of everything. And I believe that, everything weighed on a lot of people. And then you had people that, they're introverts. So I often think about those people that had to deal with the pandemic. Even though those people like to be by themselves, sometimes they need people around them. And so thinking about those people that didn't have people around them and how they had to cope. I know in the beginning of all of this, I read about this guy in the UK that he just couldn't deal, so he ended up killing himself. But which is very there's so many dimensions to what we have experienced in the past 6 years. It is just incredible. What is it about the music industry that made you want to gravitate towards it? Was it something that you saw? Was it something that you heard? What was the moment where you're like, whoa, this is something I need to get into because this is a part of who I am?
Right. So I will say I've known since about 3 years old that this is what I wanted to do. Hearing Whitney Houston time is the reason why I started doing music and why I started singing, because there was just something about her voice that really touched me. And I still get like the tinglies and the butterflies to this day anytime I hear any of her songs. Like I just watched, The Bodyguard like a couple weekends ago, and that's still like my favorite soundtrack. So yeah, like when I heard her voice, I was like, yeah, I think this is it. But as a child, you kind of see all the glitz and the glamour that is involved in being in this industry. And then as you grow older and you actually experience more in the industry, you realize, okay, well, it's kind of an ugly side to this too. Like there's a little mini dumpster fire over there in the corner, and I didn't even sign up for that.
Nope, I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
I know you understand.
Woo! Child, there are days I wake up and I'm just like, do I really want to do this?
Right. Right.
It's a lot of work, and people just don't understand that as artists, we are the investment. So we have to invest our blood, sweat, and tears into ourselves. And obviously, you should love yourself and all that stuff, and that's grand. But the amount of work that goes into it, this is just. It's just crazy. Now
it is crazy.
You mentioned Whitney Houston, and I was talking to my mom and my uncle about her the other day, because he said my uncle was like, that's the one person he really misses a lot on the music platforms. And I said, what happened to Whitney is very sad. So they tried to create a different Whitney, and obviously the persona that you saw on stage wasn't really. Obviously, she can sing, but the persona that they created wasn't her. This was a girl that was down home. And, they wanted her to be this elegant and classy type of person. Not that she couldn't be, but technically that wasn't her. And I think the weight of that and led her to do way more drugs than she wanted to, that she should have.
Right.
And
she had to cope. Yeah,
she had to cope. And I also have a problem with the fact that they tried to blame Bobby Brown so much for so many things, but she was doing drugs well before him. So
right,
Bobby was doing his thing too. But I hate when they do. Oh, really? Whitney? No.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on us as artists? Should we allow people to change who we are, or should we stay true to who we are as artists? And, it's either that they love us or they don't.
Exactly. I'm definitely a take it or leave it type of gal. I've had people ask me the question of, well, if somebody came to you and, offered you a deal, offered you X amount of money, would you change your style of music? Would you change your message? Would you change your look? And the answer for me is always no, and it's always going to be no.
Amen.
I don't care if I never, ever, ever blow up to be as big as like a Beyonce,
right.
Because I'm not doing what the industry wants me to do. Now, I say that, and I firmly believe that I have everything in me to be a headlining act like Beyonce.
Right.
But my point is that I will never change for anyone. And I think what people tend to forget or misunderstand is that an artist, like the reason that they are an artist and why we call them an artist is because they bring something different to the table. They have a completely different perspective on life and the things that are going on around us. So why would you want to change that? Why would you want everyone to sound the same or look the same or, just have this whole cookie cutter, artist? That defeats the purpose of artistry.
Amen. Amen.
So
I love
if you don't rock what I do, if you don't like what I do, then I'm fine with that. Like, and I've had people say that they don't get it, and I'm like, cool, as long as I get it.
That's right. Amen.
I'm fine with that.
Amen. You have to love what you do. You have to love what you do. It doesn't matter about anybody.
You have to.
Amen.
It really doesn't.
So one of the biggest things that I talk about all the time is authenticity, being authentic, the authentic self, which is very important. And, during the pandemic, I always tell people this. I watched a webinar on TikTok, and they were like, oh, you need to do 5 videos a day, which is crazy because who has that time? But they said that the most popular videos on TikTok are the ones where people are being authentic. And so I think because of the past 6 years and the craziness we've had to deal, people are craving the real. They're craving the honest. They're craving something that they gravitate to. They're craving somebody that gets them, literally, because they see that in their life. One of the things about the pandemic is that it made you realize, 1, you need physical touch. Number 2, you need people in your life. Because, my God, you're at home and you can't move, you can't do this, you can't do that. It makes you realize a bunch of things of what is important in your life at the time. And often, like, I've been to several music seminars and webinars as well, and they're always saying, oh, if you're writing a song for, let's say, Rihanna, don't give her something that she's done, give her something that she hasn't done. They always talk about, well, we want something unique and different. Yet, when you listen to the radio stations, it all sounds the same to me. But I think what's happening is that independent artists are on the rise. People are gravitating more to people that are different than the commercial norm, the mainstream norm. And I'm not trying to poo-poo on the mainstream artists, but after a while, you get tired of the redundancy. Like when Lizzo first came out with one of her songs, I know they have to market it to death, but after a while, I couldn't listen to it anymore on the radio because they were playing it way too much. Lizzo would come on,
way too much.
I would turn it off. I'm not listening to the song anymore. I can't do it. Now, during those times, they could have put an independent artist. It's not going to kill a radio station to play 5 minutes or at least 3 independent artist songs. It won't, but all of that is pay to play. They rather inundate people with the same artist for years and years to come, rather than introduce people that are actually really doing something. They're writing about the times, or they're writing about their experiences that people can relate. One year was the year where Adele beat out Beyonce, and I had to explain to somebody why that happened.
I remember that.
Beyonce is a great artist. She can perform, but there's a difference between her and Adele. For me, Beyonce sings at you and Adele sings to you. Like when Beyonce sings to me, I don't feel anything. I like her songs. I like her dance songs, and I play them when I teach spin. But Adele, you feel like you could call up Adele, girl. Let me tell you, this guy did this to me and that to me, and you could relate better to her because she's real. I was at the Grammys when she made a mistake. And she's like, sorry, guys, I can't do it like this. And it was great.
I remember that.
It was great because she was normal. And you could relate to her. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Now, tell me about your 12-year battle to recover your voice.
Okay. Yes. So I suffered a little bit of vocal trauma where I had to spend a little over a decade kind of rebuilding my range and more importantly, rebuilding my confidence. So, like I had mentioned, since 3 years old, like this is all that I've ever wanted to do. And so as a child growing up, I did, a lot of competing. I was in school talent shows and doing like local access TV stuff and, auditioning for American Idol when that became a thing. And I just knew that I wanted to move to LA. I was born in LA, but I was raised in Santa Barbara County in Lompoc. But I knew that once I finished school out there, like I wanted to move to LA and really pursue a music career. But I was unable to do that because I lost my voice. So one evening I got off of work and my mom picked me up from work, and I stopped to, grab a turkey burger and some fries. I was starving. And, my fat self just couldn't wait to get home to, when there's better lighting, like I'm in the car, it's dark, and I'm like scarfing down this burger. So by the time I get home, I realize I don't feel so well. And so I start vomiting, and that continued for about a solid 7 hours. To where like I couldn't keep anything down, like not even water. And you know how like Black parents are, like, throw some water and some saltines at you, and that should settle your stomach, maybe a little ginger ale. And so we were doing that, and I was just throwing it back up. And so, I kind of expected, at least for a couple of days, that, my throat would feel kind of raw.
Right.
But I never expected that after that episode, I would be diagnosed with GERD, which is acid reflux disease. And then also just singing, like my range was gone, and even talking with people, like talking to like my friends, like, we'd be at lunch or, even in class, because I'm a little chatterbox, talking, and then all of a sudden my voice is just completely cut out. And that continued for a period of time. And I was in concert choir. We were getting ready for a competition, and I just had to lip sync the rest of the year. And so when I finally did move to Southern California, I moved down here to go to school at UC Riverside. And I tried to, kind of participate in the different, performing arts opportunities that were out there in Riverside and in LA. And I just wasn't, like, I was really sucking at that time. Like, I've gotten booed off of a couple stages. I've had people just be completely disrespectful and talk all the way through my performance. And I remember there was one performance, like, I literally I put the mic down and walked off the stage because I was so frustrated with, the fact that I was up there really trying and nobody cared. So yeah, it was a long period of time where I definitely gave up so many times. I said, you know what, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Let me find something else to do. Right. And so that's where the photography and graphic design and all of that came in, because it was another creative outlet for me. Music always called me home. Always. So I spent the time and really worked on my voice. I watched, a bunch of YouTube videos, and even hired like a vocal coach to help me work through some things. And then about 5 years ago is when I felt like, I'm in a good place with my voice. I'm ready to get back out there, and I'm ready to release my very first single to the world. And so I did that. And there's been no stopping me ever since then.
Awesome. I love a comeback story. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Comeback kid.
That's great. I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that. That is super crazy. Now I'm going to piggyback off of you, like when people talk when you're singing, like I refuse to perform in any place that has televisions or anything like that. And I bow down to Nina Simone for showing me the vision, because she would actually tell people to sit down. She's about to perform. You need to sit. You need to shut up, because the people just don't understand what it takes to rehearse, to write the music, to do everything like that. And then you're performing and people are talking. You're like, what? No, I'm not doing this.
It's like, if you wanted to talk, stay home. Stay home and get on the phone.
Amen.
But don't come here with that.
Exactly. Who wants that? So I'm going to play your song Fight. Tell us what that's about.
Okay. So Fight is that first single I mentioned, my very first release. And that song is about, kind of my battle and my fight to rebuilding my voice and getting back into the world and doing what I love. It's I won't say that it's a narrative on that because I don't specifically speak on that in the song, but it's inspired by that. And really the song is more about encouraging other people to fight for their dreams and the things that they want to do in this life, despite whatever obstacle comes your way. Because there's always going to be an obstacle when you're trying to do something great. And hopefully, you know, it's never anything as extreme as a 12-year vocal loss, but sometimes it is that. And you have to decide for yourself how important your dream is. And I feel like a lot of people, when they are met with a little bit of adversity, they just say, you know what, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me find something else to do. And so this song is to say, no. Like, if it is in your heart to do it, if this is your purpose to do it, then a way will be made for you, but you have to keep at it. So keep fighting.
Awesome. That's quiet.
Yay.
Yeah, you gotta fight. I love that song. Oh my God, you have great vocals. Great, great, great.
Thank you,
Lively.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I definitely have to give a shout out to my girl Brielle on that rap verse. She killed it, yo. She killed it. I love that verse. It's still my favorite rap verse.
I could hear it in a movie. Do you think about sending our music to like a sync and licensing?
Yes, actually. So Fight, I did license for an independent film a couple of years ago. And another one of my songs, No Angels, actually licensed for a daytime Emmy-nominated web series. So I do submit, yes, I do submit my music for licensing. And I've submitted like other stuff that's not necessarily something that I've released, but I find that it is easier for me to just market and try to license the stuff that I've already created.
Right. Oh no, I completely get that. That's fantastic. That's phenomenal. So what is your writing process like, and how do you deal with writer's block if you get it?
Ooh-wee. Writer's block, that is a beast. I will say when I first started writing again, that was a very big issue for me. So even with Fight, we went to the studio, and it was myself, my husband, who produces all of my music, and Brielle, and we sat down, and they asked me. They was like, well, what do you want to sing about? What do you want to write about? And we threw some ideas around, but none of them really stuck. And it wasn't really until like I went home, that night and for the next couple of days and just really sat with my thoughts.
Right.
And kind of sat with this visual that kept playing out in my head. So there's a music video that is attached to this song.
Okay.
And it sounds weird, but that's what I saw first before I even had lyrics to the song. Mm-hmm. So I'm just a very visual person. So I saw this video. I saw exactly what I was going to be wearing. I saw Brielle in it and in this alley just killing it, spitting a verse. We don't know what the verse is, but we just know it's going to be dope. And I kind of sat with that for a little bit and I said, okay, well, what are the words we're going to put with this? So I spent a little bit of time in my car, because that typically tends to be the creative space for me when I'm writing. Right. The car and the shower are like my go-tos when I want to write something. And I spent some time in the car, and all these ideas came flooding to me and these lyrics. And so we got back into the studio. I think I only had maybe like the first verse, which I know a lot of people write hooks before they write their verses, because the hook is supposed to be the catchy part of the song, right? That's your bread and butter right there. But I typically write in sequence. Like I start with the first verse, and then I say, okay, well, what is this hook gonna sound like? Like, how do we tie in the first verse with the second verse? And sometimes I'll write all the verses first and then a hook. So like I kind of have like a weird way of approaching writing. And when it comes to writer's block, like I said, initially when I started writing again, I was definitely battling with that. But nowadays things kind of come a little easier for me. And it's just really just finding, I guess, the time to write, and also being able to, I guess, write but not focus so hard on it. So I think why things come to me better when I'm in the shower or when I'm in the car is because, I'm doing another task. So driving, I'm trying to make sure these crazy LA drivers ain't hitting my Hyundai. So I I'm defensively driving, but at the same time, ideas are coming to me and I'm like, okay, well, let me turn on that voice memo and start recording. And so I'll start recording whatever, thoughts or melodies or just sometimes words that are coming to my head. I put them, into that voice memo, and then I'll take that and and, you know, try to build a song off of that later.
Wow. What do you love about being an artist?
Oh my gosh. There's so many things that I love about being an artist. Expression, like self-expression, is definitely one of those. It's the top one for me.
Yeah.
I love being able to express myself not only through my music, but also the fashion that I decide to, you know, incorporate with whatever visuals that I may be putting out, whether that is a video or I'm on the stage. I love being able to express myself in so many different ways. And then there's also just the human connection piece that goes with that. I absolutely love getting on stage and singing these songs for people and just seeing how they react to them, whether they, you know, they're bobbing their head or, you know, if you've been to enough of my shows, then you're singing along, you know, with the song. I just love being able to connect with people while I'm on the stage and then when I get off the stage. That's a really important part for me, too, is just making myself available after a show for anybody that wants to get things off of their chest, whether they were inspired by something that I said or sang, or, you know, just my presence was inspirational. Like, I'll never, ever forget a show that I did at this place called Harvard and Stone in LA. And this young Black woman came up to me, and she was just like, I absolutely love what you're doing. Like, you are inspiring a generation. You are giving us Black girls and women like just a different face to music and giving us somebody to look up to in this rock and alternative genre. Because I know when I was coming up, like we didn't really have that. Like you had Cece Dobson, and like that was cool, but we didn't really have people of color on the rock scene when, you know, all the Nirvanas and the Alanis Morissettes were out there doing their thing, which are, you know, artists that I absolutely love and who inspire what I do. But it would have been nice to see more Black alt artists. So a part of my mission is to bring more light to the people of color, and specifically Black women who are doing alternative music, who are going against the grain. Right,
which I completely love. There needs to be more of us in many of the different genres they don't think we're supposed to be in. Screw that.
Totally.
We're going to break all the boundaries.
Yes, break all the boundaries. All the stereotypes, all of that. Like, I'm here for it all.
I'm for it. I'm here for it. Now, I'm going to play your song, New Strange. Tell me what that's about.
Okay, so New Strange, that's my latest release, and it was a song that I wrote last year, towards the end of the year, when I was just really feeling heavy and weighed down by this pandemic. Like when we started, you know, this whole thing and we went into lockdown, I was cool sitting at the house and, you know, eating to my little heart's content and just being fine with that. But when, you know, the months went on and we were in this still for longer than just a few weeks, and I was kind of realizing that, oh, okay, like I might not be able to perform, you know, publicly anymore or do music in the capacity in which I would like to do it. Like I kind of started feeling like that period of time when I didn't have my voice and I couldn't sing. And so that really started to get to me, and I kind of fell into a little bit of a depression and was starting to feel a little hopeless about our situation. I was like, well, what if we never return to a place where I can, you know, go and perform on stage and connect with people? What if that doesn't happen ever again? Or what if that doesn't happen until, like, God forbid, 2022 or 23? So I, you know, sitting again with my thoughts as I typically do, and I started writing these lyrics about, you know, how I was feeling. And I think this is probably one of my favorite songs, in my discography, because it is a more vulnerable side to me. Like, a lot of people don't get to see that. I tend to present like a very, kind of hard exterior, and really, like, if you don't know me, then you don't get to see the more emotional side of me. I'm very passionate about things and very like in tune with, my emotions. And, sometimes that results in tears. And I was doing a lot of crying during this time. And so I decided to write this song, and because I figured people could relate. We were all going through the same thing, just varying degrees on like, when the heck is this going to end, and am I going to be able to do X, Y, and Z? So that's what New Strange is about. It is a narrative on how it's feeling, but the hook is where we bring in more of a positive side to how I was feeling, because at the end of the day, like, yes, this is a new strange, like we're on the edge of this like new age and a new way of doing things.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, like, I'm still fortunate enough to keep waking up every day. And so I had to keep like looking at that as like the bright spot until we could get out of this thing, or at least get to a place where we can function a little bit better inside of this whole pandemic.
Amen. All right. Let's play New Strange.
Woo-woo.
Hard finding my feet. All these whispers will not cease. I'm out of my mind, lost up inside, and my demons no longer hide. This is the dawning of a new day. This is the dawning of a new way. This is the dawning of a new age. This is the dawning of a new day. This imagery of flying hail. They don't even know if it's healed or tail. Better keep your distance in your town, or you might be 6 feet under the ground. This is the dawning of a new day. This is the dawning of a new way. This is the dawning of a new age. This is the dawning of a new day. This is the
I love the electronic guitar on there. Oh my God, that was hot.
Thank you.
The whole song was hot. The whole song was hot, but I love that.
Yes. Shout out
was,
to Jose for that guitar. Like, my band actually played live on this track, which is another reason why I think this is one of my favorites, because this is the first time I was getting like my band in on, the recording process.
So what is one thing you wish you had known about the music business before you got into it?
Oh man, just one thing.
Wow, several things.
There's a couple of things I wish I knew. One, I wish that I knew that this was a process. And it's not as glamorized as they try to make it in the movies, where, you're just walking in the mall and you get discovered at a very kind of diluted, vision of that, and just thinking that that's how things went. Like, somebody just sing singing and they'll just whisk me away to Hollywood and whatever. No, that is not how it works. Like, you really have to put in the work. Secondly, I wish I knew that authenticity, although it is valued by many, it is not necessarily valued by the gatekeepers. and then too, just knowing that there are gatekeepers in this industry, like, who would have thought? So yeah, those are just some of the things that I wish I knew. But I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of other artists. My husband in particular is an artist, and he was in a band for a long time, and I kind of got to watch them and how they maneuvered in the industry. And I took very detailed mental notes about just some of the things that were going on, and just some of the things that I knew I didn't want to have to deal with. When I finally made my return to the industry. So I'm very fortunate in that regard, but I know not everybody gets to, have that opportunity. Right. And especially for like us women, it's always hard in everything, whether it's this industry or, another industry. Like, it's always so difficult for us. And I just don't understand why it has to be that way.
Me neither. We're still fighting through, but one day we shall overcome. Amen. Amen.
We
amen.
shall. Amen. Amen.
Oh my goodness. And what is a quote or message that you like to use to push you throughout the day or throughout the month, the year, whatever?
I like this one. I like this question. So I have an affirmation that I say every morning to myself. I have a few that I have written down that I like to say during my time of just meditating and kind of getting into my day. But my favorite one is, fear has no power here. And I say that one because I have to remind myself that what I'm doing is new and it is different, and it is going to be met with kind of puzzled faces and doors slammed and all of that. But I know that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I have to remind myself that, I'm human. So, of course, there are times where I get scared and I do ask the question, like, why the heck am I even doing this? If, people aren't really paying attention the way that I want them to pay attention. And I just have to keep telling myself, you know what, yes, this is scary, but this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and your gifts will make room for you, which is like another affirmation and a thing that I say to myself every day as well, is that my gifts will make room for me. I wasn't given, this vision. I wasn't given this talent or these ideas just for them to never see the light of day. And so I know that everything is working to make sure that I do get those things out there. And I have to go out into the world with these things as boldly as I know how to. So fear cannot have any space in my life. It really can't.
Nope. It cannot. It cannot. Here's the one thing that tries to stop us from doing what we were meant to do, and we shall push through that forever. Because,
Yes.
after a while, it's like, oh my God, this music business is expensive. It's time consuming. It's 24 hours
Yes.
job. And you'll get people that love you. You'll get people that won't love you. And you know what? That's okay. The people that are supposed to listen to your music, and the people that are not supposed to listen and won't listen to it, they'll miss out. But you know what? Whatever's meant to be, supposed to be.
Will be.
That's it.
Yep.
And you're going to continue to create great music. I can see you in the biggest halls and the biggest performances spaces, because I think, my God, you are amazing. Completely amazing.
Thank you so much.
I just love everything I've heard. I'm going to follow you forever.
Thank you.
You're great. I mean, you're fantastic. You're phenomenal. I'm surprised that you're not up there on the Billboard charts already. I mean, because you are extremely authentic, and that's what people want. And so I think that, it's going to happen. It's happening in the universe.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
And I'm honored to know you, so I can say, I got myself a VIP backstage pass. Come and see you.
Look, I'm gonna have to hook you up.
You don't have to hook me
and
up.
then I'm trying to see you do your thing one of these days.
Yes, son, we're all trying to do our best out here in this world. It's been super cray out there. It's just about keeping that momentum, and staying focused and organizing yourself and all that good stuff. But, we're both going to get it done. I see in our future. But I want to thank you for being on Chatting with Nat. It's truly been an honor.
Thank you for having me.
And
thank you for having me, Nat. I appreciate you.
We are going to do the Instagram Live, damn it, one of these days. We'll have to schedule it.
Yes.
And my brain will be ready at that time. And and we'll have a good time on there. And you'll be able to do a little performance, a little something for us. And that will be phenomenal.
Yes.
So I
would love it.
I hope you have a great weekend, a great rest of the week, and thank you so much for being on Chatting.
Thank you for having me. Enjoy your day, hon.
You too.
Bye.
And that was wonderful, amazing new alternative rock artist, Élishia Sharie. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. You got to follow her. Her Instagram is Élishia Sharie. Her Facebook is the same. Her Twitter is the same. Her YouTube is the same. You've got to find her. She's so amazing. I loved her music. Put her songs on your Spotify playlist. I'm going to do it on mine. You got to find her. She's amazing. And if you didn't get all that, just Google her. That's what I tell people. Just Google. Until next time, on Chatting with Nat. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.